I don't think Ice Cube knows who the puppeteers are. He understands that there are puppeteers, and he can tell from his own experience both.
And that was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna be like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out, brother.
Ice Cube has never been shy about calling things the way he sees them. But when he sat down with The Breakfast Club and dropped what some called the most daring revelation of his career, even seasoned listeners felt the chill. We all thought the gatekeepers of the music business were just faceless suits, shadowy suits behind the curtains. Not anymore. Cube put real faces on those shadows, Jay-Z and Diddy. These two, he claims, aren't just running their own empires. They're the ones holding the real keys to the castle, and the price of entry isn't paid in dollars or record sales. No, according to Cube, there's a darker economy at work. We're not talking about late-night boardroom deals or PR handshakes. These are dues that chew up people from the inside out and spit out whatever's left when the fun is over.
I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with.
The industry, he suggests, doesn't just keep people in their lane. It's run like a club where the velvet rope is policed by Jay and Diddy, deciding who eats and who gets starved out. Ice Cube's words are measured, but his meaning isn't. They make sure you stay in your lane, and if they think you're getting out of your lane, sometimes they'll watch you, sometimes they'll put guardrails around you, and sometimes they'll actually put a gate up. We can all guess what happens when someone tries to jump that gate, especially if they're not on the guest list. For those on the outside, these tales always seemed a bit dramatic. But the pattern keeps showing up. Artists get close to the sun, then suddenly the Icarus routine. Careers flame out. The ones who play along don't just get rewarded, they get elevated to untouchable status. The ones who resist, they're done, erased like yesterday's trending topic. And that's the tame version. Cube hints at something more. Parties that don't end with a friendly handshake, favors that go way past a simple thank you, secrets collected like trophies and then used as the ultimate insurance policy. Who needs a signed contract when you're holding someone's reputation hostage? There's always talk of rituals, but these aren't candlelit ceremonies or Hollywood seances. These are power games, acts meant to bind the participants with guilt, silence, and a lingering sense of, if you ever speak, we own you. The ugliest rumors say the initiation isn't a one-time fee. It's a recurring payment. And if you ever miss one, your balance comes due in the harshest way. A few seasoned insiders say the worst thing isn't getting cut off. It's finding out just how fast they can destroy everything you've built. Careers destroyed is one way to put it. Some call it the industry's invisible guillotine. It's no wonder people start to whisper about the Illuminati. It's the oldest explanation in the book when things get too sinister to chalk up to bad luck. Cube himself dances on that line. Probably so. He laughs when asked if the Illuminati really run things. But the punchline doesn't land. Not when the music stops and we start to look at who's still standing. They don't come up to me and say, hey, I'm Illuminati. Maybe they don't have to. Maybe you know them by their power and who they choose to let in the room.
A lot of potential. Jay was more quiet. But I mean, I learned that Jay was being quiet because he was taking notes. He was taking notes, observing everything, taking it all in. You know, because, you know, sometimes you're around and you're watching to see things to do. But some people are around.
And right at the heart of it all, Jay-Z and Diddy. Their partnership has outlasted rivals, lawsuits, and a cultural shift that could have left anyone else in the dust. Look at their history. Early collaborations, flashy donations to hurricane funds, red carpet events where they act like hip-hop's godfathers, glass in hand, everyone else in orbit. There's loyalty, but there's also a sense that nobody gets this high up without buying their way in. And sometimes the cost isn't even your own, which brings us to Beyoncé. It sounds almost sacrilegious to ask, but plenty have wondered. Did her rise really happen in a straight line, or was it carefully arranged from the shadows? Jay-Z's influence on her career is legendary, but what if it was more than mentorship? What if she didn't just marry into the industry royalty, but signed a secret pact whose terms none of us will ever read? Did Beyoncé's rise to global superstardom come with a hidden cost? That question haunts the fandom, especially when we see how seamlessly her star ascended after Destiny's Child, right as Jay-Z's own empire consolidated. Some say it was timing, some say it was fate. Others whisper about deals made at parties where nobody brings their phone and everyone signs NDAs thicker than a Brooklyn phone book. Was her relationship with Diddy just a casual industry friendship, or was it another move on the chessboard? We know she collaborated with him early in her solo career, before Crazy in Love became the anthem of a generation. Did the gatekeepers give their blessing, or did they ask for something in return? A trade-off whose real price will never make the liner notes. The silence around this is what keeps the theories alive. The ones who might talk, the bodyguards, the assistants, the producers who saw too much, They either cash out or vanish from view. We all remember the producers who had their shot, then suddenly found themselves working weddings in Jersey, muttering about crossing the wrong people. Coincidence, right?
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
The shadows only get deeper when we turn to Shakur, because here's where the paranoia turns into outright fear. New rumors swirl every year, but now, insiders insist that Shakur didn't just lose his life in Las Vegas by random chance or East Coast-West Coast beef. The theory: he left behind a final tape, a lost recording where he tried to warn the world about the real bosses pulling strings, Jay-Z, Diddy, and their supposed Illuminati overlords. Some say the tape was hidden by those closest to him, maybe even confiscated by the gatekeepers themselves. Others say it's sitting in a vault, waiting for the right moment to leak. And maybe, just maybe, it's the missing piece that explains not just why Shakur vanished, but why nobody else in the industry will breathe his name without lowering their voice. The story goes, Shakur saw the power structure clearer than most. He realized too late that crossing certain people isn't just career sabotage, it's an invitation for everything to unravel. The Las Vegas shooting that ended his run? For some, it was a classic case of street beef. For others, it was the ultimate silencing. The kind of message you send when you want to remind everyone else to stay in line. We've all heard Suge Knight's weird hints from prison. With Shakur, you never know. Maybe he's just stirring the pot for attention. Or maybe he knows there are things you can't say without risking your own neck.
Chaotic. It's hard to actually figure out what's what, but it's becoming clearer. It's becoming clearer and clearer, but...
And then there are the details that refuse to fade away. The missing witnesses, the erased tapes, the strange autopsy discrepancies. Why was the only other person in the car barely scratched? Why did the shooter vanish into the night while Las Vegas police just shrugged? Why did everyone in Shakur's circle suddenly close ranks, locking out journalists, cutting deals, changing stories? The more you look, the less random it feels. Every time someone says Shakur is alive in Cuba, what they're really saying is the truth was too dangerous to survive. Jay-Z and Diddy, for their part, have never wavered. They issue denials, lawyer up, and keep moving, as if every rumor is just background noise on the road to their next billion. But even as the lawsuits pile up, and even as Diddy faces new allegations in courtrooms packed with cameras and high-powered attorneys, their grip on the industry doesn't slip. It almost doesn't matter if the Illuminati is real. The club exists, and it's never been more obvious who's at the top. We're left watching the doors, wondering who'll get let in, who'll be left outside, and who, in the end, will pay the bill.
These 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Behind the polished speeches and million-dollar photo ops, there's a different Hollywood one few outsiders will ever glimpse and even fewer dare to describe. This is the territory Ice Cube pointed toward with his warning. Here, inside lavish mansions and unmarked hotels, the real price of fame gets negotiated in rooms where every window is covered and every phone is locked away. For years, former handlers and ex-bodyguards have described these late-night gatherings as nothing short of psychological warfare. Initiation rites, unthinkable dares, and humiliations designed to crush resistance before loyalty is bought. The playbook is ugly. They don't just want secrets, they want control. We've heard the stories. Phones confiscated at the door, ND as thicker than an IRS audit, a line of cameras on tripods pointed at the worst moments. Everyone laughs, but nobody jokes. That's how leverage is built, and why nobody ever walks away with clean hands.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
Some say the blackmail files alone would make the FBI blush. The stories go like this. Up-and-comers summoned to parties with rules nobody explains until it's too late. First a drink that burns all the way down, then an order barked from a billionaire in the corner. Maybe you go along, maybe you freeze. Either way, there's always a camera. Sometimes it's a humiliation you'll never shake. Sometimes it's something worse. A transgression so twisted that it lives only on encrypted hard drives. Insurance policies for the gatekeepers. The message is simple. Stay loyal, or this becomes your headline. Of course, nobody on record admits to any of it, but the careers that go up in smoke, the artists who vanish after a single wrong move, leave a trail even tabloid skeptics can follow. What about the R&B singer whose debut album shot to #1, then found herself blackballed after she fired the wrong manager? Or the comedian who started hinting about party rituals, then was suddenly unbookable, rumors of erratic behavior following him like a curse. We've watched respected musicians announce retirement at 30, then spend decades ghostwriting for people with shinier smiles and emptier resumes. Every year, another promising name fizzles out, sometimes after a single awkward night with a mogul who just wants to talk business.
I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand?
And for every cautionary tale, there's a tragedy. Artists who dared to push back against the system, those who started questioning too loudly or refused to play the game, end up as cautionary legends or cautionary losses. The list grows every year. It's no accident that the phrase industry sacrifice has become its own genre of YouTube search. Shakur isn't the only one. Others have whispered that the price of freedom is often isolation, scandal, or the ultimate exit. The unlucky ones get turned into headlines. The luckier ones disappear, never to speak again. But what's almost more chilling than the rumors is the silence that smothers them. Why hasn't anyone else come forward like Ice Cube? The man's got nothing left to prove. But for everyone else, the stakes are brutally clear. The ones who try to break rank pay dearly. We've watched Ye spiral on live television, ranting about the handlers and the contracts, the invisible strings pulled by men who own the means of creation. He never says the names, but the industry gets the message. Is it mental collapse, or just a man who finally saw behind the curtain and realized he couldn't unsee it? His fans will debate that for years, but the fallout speaks volumes. Record deals dry up, partnerships evaporate, former friends cross the street to avoid the drama. The lesson: even if you're a billionaire, you can lose it all if you challenge the wrong regime.
It's always been like a little underlying competition there with your big brother there. And we both love and respect each other's art.
Plenty of others have flirted with the truth only to swerve away at the last second. Listen closely and you'll catch a pop star's nervous laughter in an interview, a rapper's tight smile when the subject turns to the club, a veteran actor's abrupt subject change when asked about those infamous mansion parties. The silence is so coordinated, it's almost funny. Except it isn't. Not when you realize how many livelihoods are on the line, how many families and empires depend on everyone playing their part. A single wrong word, a single public misstep, and years of work go up in flames. Who's going to risk it? That's why, when Ice Cube broke ranks, it landed like a bomb. "I'ma go talk to everybody," he promised, and the industry felt the tremor. The insiders who would have laughed him off 5 years ago are suddenly nervous, watching social media and waiting for the next shoe to drop. It's easy to pretend nothing's wrong when the only evidence is a rumor on a podcast, but when a legend starts naming names, when he points at Jay-Z and Diddy of all people, the threat feels real. Not because they're the only ones holding the levers, but because if they fall, who's next?
People who own the labels own private prisons.
The chilling thing is that every big institution, from record labels to talent agencies, acts as if it's just business as usual. But underneath the surface, the fear is everywhere. That's how power keeps itself hidden. When the richest, most famous people in the country refuse to breathe a word, you know the stakes are bigger than anyone wants to admit. Every time a new lawsuit hits, every time a superstar gets accused, the walls close in a little more. It's not about guilt or innocence. It's about keeping the machine running, making sure nobody ever gets a clean shot at the truth. And the rumors about Beyonce, about blackmail, about careers built on deals nobody would ever admit to signing, they're not going away. In fact, every year they grow more detailed, more chilling. We used to laugh off the Illuminati talk as a joke for conspiracy theorists, but now, with court documents, surveillance footage, and whistleblowers leaking receipts, even the most loyal fans are starting to ask questions. Who actually decides who gets the top slot at the Grammy Awards? Who buries the scandals, pays the settlements, keeps the darkest stories out of the tabloids? It isn't a PR firm or a management team. It's the same faces who show up on every red carpet, every boardroom, every executive suite. Their loyalty is rewarded. Their enemies are erased.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
When we look at what happened to Diddy, those legal battles, those raids, those allegations that sound like horror stories from another world, it starts to sound less like a random fall from grace and more like a warning shot. Mess with the wrong people, and the system will eat you alive. And yet, even now, Jay-Z keeps quiet, smiles for the cameras, and never once lets a single crack show. Nobody wants to be the next cautionary tale. The stakes couldn't be higher. The industry has always run on secrets, but if Cube is right, we're dealing with something closer to organized chaos, a closed loop of power, fear, and silent cooperation. The same network that made billionaires out of street poets is the one that decides which scandals matter and which disappear. It's why nobody ever goes broke betting on celebrity silence. The gatekeepers control the show, the sound, and the silence.
The door, they laid the blueprint for me, and they're not here anymore. So I always want to make sure that, through me, you know what I'm saying, through all of us, so that.
So if you're still wondering why Ice Cube's warning hit so hard, maybe that's the real question. If the stories about humiliation rituals, blackmail tapes, and life-ruining secrets are even half true, what hope does any outsider have? The machine has been running this way for decades, and every time someone threatens to expose it, we see a familiar ending, a career cut short, a legacy tainted, or sometimes a body count nobody dares investigate. How far will the industry go to protect itself?
So let's talk about it, man. So you feel like it was bigger than Orlando shooting Pac. You feel like it's more to the story. You don't think it was that simple?
I feel like it's bigger because...
And now, with everything out in the open, and the whispers growing louder, we have to wonder, if they could silence Shakur, if they can control even the biggest stars in the world, is anyone really safe? What secrets are still buried beneath the luxury and fame? Will the next big expose finally blow the lid off? Or will the gatekeepers tighten their grip and remind everyone who really runs the show? If even a fraction of these claims are real, the industry isn't just broken, it's dangerous. We've heard Ice Cube's warning, we've seen careers vanish, and we've watched legends go silent. The only question left is, what will it take for the truth to finally come out? Will another icon risk everything to shatter the silence, or are we destined to watch the same cycle repeat, over and over, until the last secret is safe in the ground? Drop your wildest theory in the comments. Who do you think is really pulling the strings in Hollywood? Are the Illuminati rumors just internet nonsense, or have we all been distracted while the real power stays hidden? Hit subscribe for more untold stories, and remember, in a world built on secrets, sometimes the only way out is to ask the questions nobody else will. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your phone cameras rolling.